She's seen how I look on camera. That's how we produce. I think pretty good. I don't know. So there's another way of me broadcasting these. I'd love to get everybody's opinion, but I need more people on. I could do it where you just see a tiny little picture of me, and you won't see all the kids come in. And yeah, go back to Mykonos. Mykonos. I don't think that was Mykonos. That was Santorini. Go back to, because she's referring to this. Somebody's referring to this awesome picture. This is Santorini. That is where we went for our honeymoon. And now we constantly long for it. We actually made this into a picture and have it hanging in our master bedroom. Just as a constant reminder of where we want to be. And speaking of that, this is a frappe from Greece. We actually get them online, and my wife showed me how to make them because I haven't made them for a while, but I was looking at, we have another picture of 2 frappes with Greece off in the distance, and I took a look at that and said, I want a frappe. And she had to teach me how to make them again. So anyway, let's go ahead and begin. But I do want to ask everybody, and I'll ask again at the end, do you like this format, or would you like for me to do it where you can really see what's on here and I'm a tiny little picture? If I do that, it'll lose some of the personal touch of having family members come in, because I can always have them come in, but they'll be really small and I'll be sitting from a desk doing it. So that is, I just want to bring what everybody wants to see. For all my subscribers, I give them a copy of the actual report as well. If they want a PDF version of what I'm presenting, we could do that as well. So just give me your feedback. I'd really appreciate the feedback. Let me know. But let's go ahead and begin. I do have a special guest today, and this is what I mean by the personal touch. This is Athena. What grade are you in, Athena?
5th.
5th grade. Did you guys hear that? 5th grade.
5th.
What's your teacher's name?
Miss Schwang.
How do you like online school this week?
Not so great.
Why?
Because I get headaches for looking at the screen too long.
Oh, doesn't that just make your heart bleed a little bit?
But she liked it.
But you liked it. You had a fun week, huh? She's also on Friday, and by the time they got to about Thursday afternoon, we were a little tired. We wanted to sleep in, right?
Yes.
That's my special. I do have another special guest. Thank you very much, Dina. And this is somebody that is in the middle of middle school. She's what grade are you in again?
7th.
How do you pronounce your name?
Alahana.
Alana. And what's your name? She's a dog of few words, and she's not in school. So, how do you like school so far this week?
It's okay.
See, it's okay.
We thank all the teachers and everybody for doing all their hard work.
Yes, we thank all the teachers for all the hard work they're doing.
Gracias.
See, she's learning. But yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate you coming.
You're welcome.
But yeah, it's definitely a bit different. But I will say one thing: they are way more organized. There have been some issues with internet, not necessarily here, but at some of the schools. But they're getting it down, and it is way different, way more organized. So my hat's off to all the educators that their cheese was moved and they had to figure out how to do this, and they definitely have a workaround. So anyways, my background is quantitative economics, decision sciences major, UC San Diego, 29 years in the business, Orange County native, Capital Valley High School grad, 9 kids, I'm an avid runner. Of course, I did have a little bit of time off because I sprained my ankle, which I do often, and I did that on Father's Day, so I wasn't able to run, and now I'm able to run again, and then it got to be like 100 degrees. So not so conducive for running unless you're used to it, and went to school in Arizona and ran track like my wife did. Arizona, University of Arizona. I need to be clear because there's a little bit of a rivalry going along around that state. Anyways, Thomas Bunch, I brought 6, my wife brought 2. I adopted her, she adopted mine, and there we go. This little guy, Zeke, 2.5 years old. And by the way, happy birthday to Bryce. On Sunday, he turns 21. So yes, we do have a birthday like every month, it seems.
Every other week.
Every other week. With our big family, we're always at my father-in-law's and my in-laws' pizza place. Yes, why? Because there's a birthday all the time. So, oh, and that is Ballpark Pizza Team in Mission Viejo. My background, I've also been in the press, and our company is Reports on Housing, your local real estate snapshot. Company it's different than most reports. You can take a look at it at our website, reportsonhousing.com, but you're going to find really quick that we're talking about closed sales data. We're talking about July closed sales data. That still doesn't give you a flavor for if you're driving right now. That's good to know where you've been, but where are you right now and where are you going in the future? So let's not look in the rearview mirror. Let's look forward at the active listing inventory as well as the last. That's the supply, and then demand. That's the last 30 days worth of pending sales. So the two of those together is what we look at, and from that we're able to come up with the expected market time. Place your home on the market today. When are you going to go in escrow down the road? That's important, and that's what everybody wants to know. It's about setting expectations of buyers and sellers and ourselves, so that we can make sure that what we're seeing in the marketplace is really happening, and the number and data, it just does not lie. So I do have a report that started in Orange County, but then we are in the rest of Southern California, LA, Riverside, San Bernardino, and San Diego reports. And the most recent one came out for San Bernardino and Riverside, came out this week, a week ago, Monday. So it's almost 2 weeks now. This came out for Orange County, San Diego, and LA. So if you actually sign up, you get the most recent one. It's called a wave of foreclosures. I go into detail as to why there won't be a wave. We're going to mention it. I'm not going to go into too much depth in this report, but it kind of coincides with that whole thing. Are we going to hit a housing crash 2.0, a housing crisis? So bear down, somebody said.
I loved it. Bear down.
That's not hear my wife. She's out in the distance. She loved it already. So reportsonhousing.com. That's plural, REPORTS on housing.com. Subscribe. And there are sample reports where you just take a look at exactly how we deliver it. We deliver it so that you understand it. It's not a bunch of charts and graphs and all that stuff, and here you go ahead and interpret it. No, we're helping you interpret it, helping you explain it so that the lay person can understand what it is. I try to make economics simple and understandable, bite-sized. So it comes out every 2 weeks, like I talked about, a whole bunch of links at the bottom of every report. It's emailed out to you, and there's one for printing it out, one for copy, cut, edit, paste, and then there's an excerpt for Facebook. There's also a summary for Facebook that you can put in social media and your blogs and websites, and then we have a lot of charts as well. The report is $15 per month or $150 per year, and you get a month free if you use the coupon code TOOHOT. Because I'm going to argue that the market's too hot, and so is it outside. Our little garden that we're starting right now, those little plants, we have to water them frequently because they go, oh my gosh, this heat, find me some shade. Yes, too hot. And that you on checkout, you use that coupon code and you get a month free. So let's thank our sponsor once again, Monarch Coast Financial, Kevin Buddy. Like I said, buddy of mine. And they deal with all kinds of borrowers. There's not one kind that fits into a hole. That's not the way it works. There's more than one kind of borrower, there's more than one kind of loan, and Monarch Coast Financial deals with everything from full doc loans to alternative documentation to investor financing to private money. From full doc to private money and everything in between. So that's what it's all about. He has the experience. You can count on him to find financing solutions to help more buyers finance their dream home. And he's been doing this since 1976, working with buyers and sellers and realtors. He knows how to work with people. He's been doing it forever. Super, super nice guy too, very involved in the board. And get a hold of Kevin by contacting him at 949-422-2075. That's 949-422-2075. And now for some funnies, summer fun photos. I need some sort of instrumental piece for this. If I had a producer and all that stuff, this is where it would be. So my kids slowly migrate back. They want to see this little tidbit. And then they'll go back. Homeschool 2020, grades 3 and 5. I thought that was was great. Because, hey, it kind of speaks to the times. How about this one? Hot outside? Shut up. We're not allowed to really say that word in here, but I'm the dad and my kids just plug their ears. They didn't hear me. 2020. 1 star. Very bad. Would not recommend it. I want this shirt. I want to go around with this shirt. I think it's great. First rule of 2020, never talk about 2020. First rule of 2021, never talk about 2020. I ruined the bunny joke.
You ruined it.
That's what I did. My grandma has been preparing for a virus since 1976. Remember these plastic? We wanted to keep it fresh and nice. Why do you have a blanket over your couch? Well, we want to keep it looking new. What's the point? Some of you are talking about homeschooling your kids for the foreseeable future. With the way you spell on social media, please don't do that to your babies.
I don't get that.
It means they can't spell on social media. If they can't spell on social media, my daughter's gone. How about this one? Handshake bad, milkshake's good. Almost makes me want to stop off and get a milkshake. Thank you, Sonic. And then I'm now going to transition to a couple great photos. This is Mia, who does not like to come up here on camera as often because she's a little more coy, which means shy. But she started school on Monday at Santa Margarita, and she got over.
Santa Margarita.
What's that?
But not like going there.
Not going there yet. So she wore this and then came inside, did all the stuff, and now can't wait to actually go to school and wear her uniforms. Let's see, and then there's these cute kids. There they are. It's the Mason, Alana, and Athena crew. Mason, Alana, and Athena. And we've got 4th grade, 7th grade. Am I doing this right? 5th grade, yes.
Last time you said I was like in 8th grade.
It's hard to keep track of everybody. Awesome. That was their first day of school shot. Bye, girls. Now we get into the nitty-gritty of economics. Let's leave. Actually, Alana's the one that she watches mine, and she's embarrassed whenever I make a mistake, but she's actually watches a lot of them. So, Southern California market, talked about before. We're still stuck in the middle of the spring market, even though it is blazing hot outside, and technically we're about to enter the fall market, but things are a little bit afoot. They're a little bit different, and that is because of COVID-19, that V-shaped, and when we were down in that trough. So it kind of pushed things down the road. So housing is hot, but I've had different ways of saying how it's hot. I was like trying to figure it out. I was talking to my wife and I figured it out. It's as hot as this furnace when you are blowing glass. How's that? That's pretty hot. Have you ever been at the one at the Sawdust Festival in Laguna Beach? You can feel the heat from way off, and these people are getting right up next to that furnace, or what do they call it, kiln? I don't know what they call it. I do economics. I don't blow glass. I can stick to my lane. Active listing inventory. So I've updated all these charts. These charts have been updated because this is the Thursday. It's every other week that I'm updating the actual charts. And this is where we're at. Still not quite beating 2012, but getting very, very, very close. There's just a tiny little portion right here. You can see some daylight. That is where it was actually lower than where we are right now. So it's the lowest level since April 2013. That's, I said 2012, that's 2013. It's just about to go under. If we're going to get there, it's just a matter of when. So, but we're going down really slow at this point. And that's because there really is not much left in the cookie jar. You have this constant ebb and flow of properties coming on the market and going into escrow. Well, there has to be some on the market. And that's kind of where we're kind of hitting towards that bottom. And yesterday we were at 25,473. That was 61 fewer homes than 2 weeks prior. Only 61. So this is pretty flat right there. Last year we were at 42,998. Same percentage difference, 69% difference between last year and this year. This is very, very low. Since 2013 was the last time we saw it fall SoCal. And where we're going to go from here is slightly down, but it's not going to be down like we normally come down, and it will towards the end of the year. It will come down just a bit more, so we start off next year with very, very limited inventory. And keep this in mind, limited inventory when we're talking about could there be a housing crisis 2.0. So COVID-19 is no longer suppressing supply. This was July's numbers. I made an error in last week's broadcast. Somebody finally brought it up to me like last night, but it was my division. This said 21,534. It was an error. It should say 24,534 versus 24,870 in 2019 versus 2020, and it was only off by 1%. So it's only, we had 1% fewer for all of Southern California. It's only missing 344 sale signs that did not come on the market compared to last year in July. But if I compare in all different areas, I put LA last time, so I'm fixing this. LA is up 1% for July year over year. Orange County's up 2%. Riverside's down 2%, so pretty much right there. San Bernardino down 15%, and San Diego up 1%. See, the big one is San Bernardino. That's what's bringing down the curve, so we were actually negative. If you take San Bernardino out of it, it's definitely positive. So you have to understand that for the most part, COVID-19 is not affecting homeowners at all and not preventing them from coming on the market where they're worried about it. The only place where they're still worried about is San Bernardino. They've come from the 40s down 15%. So not a big, gigantic difference. But it did create a hole, and that hole is a number of homes that could have come on the market that never did and are just missing from ever coming on the market. And it's not like we're all of a sudden seeing a wave of new homeowners coming on the market because they missed up their opportunity before. So Southern California was missing 27,283 homes from March through July. So that's 21% fewer homes that came on the market during that time period, even though right now we're operating with about the same or a little bit more than what we placed on last year. So let's talk about demand. COVID-19 is not suppressing demand, and that too is not changing much. It's kind of plateauing. It's not really going down much more. And if you draw a line all the way across, this is where we're at. We're at highest since June of 2012. That is, and it didn't really change much, and I'll show you why. This is where we are as of, it's actually yesterday, and if I look at it, it said today, but yesterday, 21,508, that's up 0.5% in 2 weeks. So not much of an elevation change here. So kind of like tapping out as far as demand is concerned. Last year we were at 16,395. That's 24% less than where we're at right now. And then now I want to talk about where we're going. It's kids are back in school. I showed you a couple kids and slides of all 4 of them going back to school. It's what I officially call the fall market. This is a seasonality thing, and things begin to slow down. It's just not going to slow down as much. And demand typically drops, and the supply typically drops. But like I said, we're coming from such a bottom for supply that it can't drop that much more. And then as far as demand's concerned, it's kind of been elevated, and gosh, this, by the way, this is where our normal housing peak is, and this is in our trough. So where's our peak? This might be our peak, but look how much further off it is, and that's where we are hitting on all cylinders. But a normal demand will drop like this. That's in a normal market. But I really think because of how low interest rates are and because of how people are online, doing online schools, that they're still looking and they're still willing to put in offers, and they've been in the mix, they've lost out on houses, so that they're still looking in the marketplace. If something good came along, they'd still move their family. I think that is going to be more of the case, and it's not going to be as steep. And we didn't have the spring until summer, and the summer looks like it's starting to bleed into fall, because usually we start to see the dips. I start to see the dip there, the dip there. We didn't see it as much as pronounced in 2019. We're going to have to see where it goes from here. In the last 3 years, it always dipped from here. But I think it's not going to be that big of a dip, probably a little bit of one, and it will slowly go down. And then after that, once we get towards October, that's where I'm thinking we're going to start to really see it start to come down and mirror what this is. But its demand is really high compared to prior years. And that has a lot to do with interest rates. Of course, it might even go like this, so we'll just have to see, but it'll be higher than where we were in prior years and towards the end of the year. Everything has to do with interest rates and people that were not able to purchase, holding off and looking for something to come on. So I said it's as hot as demand is as hot as a kiln, furnace, whatever you want to call it, where you are blowing glass. And all that has to do with these mortgage interest rates. We're still just barely below 3. So we went from 2.88 to 2.95, or now we're at 2.99. Fact being, it is a whole bunch of readings that we've had below 3%. And as a matter of fact, this is the fourth reading below 3%. Just barely, but still, at a 3% mortgage rate, people were talking about rising rates. This is not really that much of rising rates. Refinances, that's a different story altogether. That's because they've had an extra 0.5% that was added to their closing costs automatically, and was done by, let's just say that it was not smart timing. But it's not really changed that much the velocity of refinancing, but it did a little bit. But you're seeing this 2.99%. These are great rates. And Southern California expected market time year over year. You could see in time we've never been this low. It's the lowest since tracking in 2012. But it's not really changing that much right now. It's bottoming out and is going to start to rise, because that's typically what it does. So where are we at yesterday? 35.5 days. And I did 0.5 days because it did go down a half of a day in 2 weeks. So we were at 36 days and went to 35.5. We really want to get technical. 2 weeks ago it was really at 35.8. And this is at 35.5 days. So I never showed decimal points until now, just to show you it looks like this is the bottom of the expected market time, then it'll start to rise. But remember, anything below 60 is a hot seller's market. We're well below the 60 mark. So, SoCal last year, 79-day expected market time. This is the difference between last year and this year right now. So a year ago yesterday, so that's when I crunched those numbers. And as far as where we're going to go, like I said, probably slowly, methodically up above the 40-day mark, and then it will go up a little bit more after the holidays. That's after Thanksgiving. And but still, below 60 days, still a hot seller's market, most likely for the remainder of the year. When you have a market that looks like this, well below 60, this is a hot seller's market. When you have expected market time as low as it is in all the different areas, you have to understand that's, oops, well, that went fast. LA, 45-day expected market time, changed 0. There was no difference from 2 weeks prior, 76 days. Orange County, 39 days, down 2 days. It was at 86 last year. Riverside, 30 days, no change, 86 last year. San Bernardino County, 25 days, no change from last year. 81 days last year, no change in 2 weeks. So look at this, no change, no change, no change, no change. And then you have San Diego County, also no change. 69 days last year. So not a lot of movement, not a lot of change. It's kind of like the flavor that you saw 2 weeks ago. Everybody was expecting it to get hotter and hotter and hotter, but it's actually not getting hotter. We're kind of like sustaining at that really, really hot level, and it'll come up a little bit. Not really going to see that much of a significant change. Some sellers are going to go, how come my home hasn't sold? Because you have to wait an extra week, 2 weeks. And now let's talk about what a lot of people have been wondering. Housing crash 2.0. Are we going to have that next housing crisis? And I keep on seeing it. I see it. There are, if you actually were to Google this term or put it in YouTube, housing crash, as so many things come up. And I've listened to some of them, and some people have been sending them to me. And my thing is, I like to hear what people have to say, and then I want to see what are they drawing from. What kind of statistics? I've had one guy who did this 60-minute presentation where he showed not one chart, not one stat, nothing, and talked for that whole entire time, and just talked about all the evictions and how the evictions were going to lead to this housing crisis 2.0. That's not a very solid model. You're not really looking at much. You're not looking at many charts and data points all over the place to really come up with these. And that's what the common denominator is between all of these. 2021 housing crash 2.0 Vegas, what happens next, economic crash predictions, how the crash will happen, housing market Corona bubble, market crash 2.0, Mortgage industry on the brink of collapse. Delinquent FHA mortgage soared by a record 60%. Housing bubble 2.0. Housing crash 2 is coming. I went to this one and I looked at all the stuff that they've been doing for 2 years, and they've been talking about things going bad for 2 years. And that's the thing. When I drilled down several of these, there were so many that were so negative for such a long time, we actually refer to those as bears. There are bulls and bears, and there's some that we refer to as perma-bears, where they're just rooting for it. Someday they'll be right. Someday there will be values that go down in housing, and they will be right. And a lot of people said, yeah, this is the year that we're going to have a recession. And for some people, I hope nobody's tooting their horn saying I was right, because I want to hear one person that said, yeah, we're going to have a pandemic-led recession, which I call a pandession, which we're going to crawl ourselves out of. Somebody said I disappeared. So anyways, so here's the justification list that a lot of people have. Evictions, pent-up homeowners coming to the market, unemployment, business decays, forbearance. We're just going to tackle a few of these. I've tackled so many of these in the past that it's very hard to do it all in one sitting. I'd be here for another 30 minutes, and in respect of time and trying to keep these not as lengthy as I was doing earlier in the year, I am going to break off some of them. But the bottom line is what all that breeds, all those websites, all those fears, and they're only bringing up one point, one salient point. And rather than looking at a whole bunch of numbers and data points and all that stuff, and understanding the underlying data points and where they're at right now and how they're changing and all that stuff, they don't really answer any of that stuff. So what they're selling is fear, and they get a lot of clicks. They get a lot. As a matter of fact, when I do any of these and I place them on YouTube, I get negative thumbs down. And why? Because there are people out there that are rooting for the market to go down, for there to be a housing crisis so they can jump in. And so, my bottom line is, you need some sort of economic model to follow. I think Logan Moshami says it best. What is your model? What's your model look like? You have to have some sort of game plan to show what you're talking about. So in doing that, here's what the model kind of looks like. The first thing is talking about supply. And we've already shown where supply is at right now. And although the supply is really, really low, where is that supply going to be coming from? So I've been watching the supply and I see where it's coming from, and there's been people that have been talking about all these evictions. So the guy that was talking for an hour about evictions said there's going to be a whole bunch of evictions, and a lot of these people are not going to be able to rent out their places, so there's going to be a flood of these rentals that are going to hit the market. I love it when they say that, because they're just pulling it out of thin air. They're pulling it out of I don't know where. So when they do that, they're trying to state what they hypothesize, but the problem is when you're not backing up with any kind of data or any kind of source like that, it really does have a bit of an issue of credibility, because they can talk all they want about it, and yes, there are some people that will buy it, but as an economist, that's not what we're looking at. And another thing that people talk about supply, and a number of homeowners that are going to be coming on the market because they missed their opportunity during the spring market. It's not that kind of a market where people are going, man, I missed out in the spring. I wanted to place my home on the market. I'm going to do it now. That's just not how it works. A lot of these people go, we're going to do it. We're going to wait till next year. And I always hear it, we're going to wait till spring. And I have a whole bunch of people tell me that there's going to be this giant flood of homeowners that come on in the spring. We always get more homeowners that come on in the spring, but there's never a flood. We've had the same number of homes come on the market since 2012, give or take 5%. And that's not a big change. That's from 2012 all the way through 2019. 2020 is a little bit different because we have a number of homeowners, 21% fewer for the months of March, April, May, June, July. So there's a big chunk of homeowners, so there's going to be a lot less when I compare year over year, and it's going to look weird because next year, year over year, it's going to look way more, but if I look at 2012 through 2019, it's going to look the same. And number two, demand. Let's talk about demand a bit, because demand is through the roof. And why is demand through the roof? We have these record low rates. Demand is pumping on all cylinders right now. I've been following that. My demand is looking at pending sales velocity, which has a lot to do with rates. So I'm tracking demand like nobody else's business. I'm looking at it like crazy, and I'm seeing any kind of changes, and I'm seeing where it sits historically, and trying to understand why it is where it's at. And it's solid right now, and it's not going to go anywhere. And people, I've showed it in many presentations before. Where's this coming from? And if there's so many people that are unemployed, because you look at the reverse side of that thing, there's 120 million people gainfully employed, and those people, and a lot of millennials. So, and we'll get into that in a second, because rates are going to remain low for the remainder of the year, and I think we're going to get really good rates until we start to see some real improvement in the economy. We're seeing improvement in many different sectors, but there's still a lot of areas of the economy that have issue. There are a lot of V-shaped recovery pieces, a lot, but there are still areas that we need to see some improvement. And and there are a lot of people that are living off of the unemployment checks right now that are waiting to come back to work. And there's people in forbearance, all those things. So there's still some stuff that we need to work our way through. But we'll get into that. But these low rates are going to fuel things for some time, and so we're not going to see these for the remainder of the year, and we're going to see them probably for spring of 2021, and that'll be enough. Because really where you do most of your movement in housing is between the months of February through closing in August, which means that it's through June, and that first half of the year I think rates are going to look pretty darn good. Because I don't foresee it until we get a vaccine, and I don't think the economy really improving, and I don't really further from where we are. It's not going to be that V-shaped, but we're still looking at everything, right? Rates, got to look at them, and you got to look to see what's going on with the 10-year to understand exactly where the rates are. And the 10-year remains below 1%. So as long as that happens, we're going to see interest rates at the 3s, and I don't see them ballooning anytime soon with just tons and tons of great news. So it's still going to take time. And it's definitely getting better from where we were at. And number 4 is affordability. And I went into affordability and where we were at and why it's so much affordable. And I went county by county by county and where affordability is at. And this is where we are at as far as all of California, 33%. And it came down a little bit because values are going up. So values are going up, but rates have come down, so it's kept everything pretty affordable. I remember, and I use this in other things, so Orange County is in the 23, 24% affordability, and this is according to California Association of Realtors. Prior to the Great Recession, it was at 12%. So you can see affordability is way different now than where we were prior to the Great Recession. So that's a big point to remember. Number 5, demographics. Oh, people don't follow this stuff, but we have this excellent demographic patch that's coming to purchase right now, and they're just hitting their 30s right now. You see this peak right here? Those are the people that this demographic patch beats demographic patches that we've seen in a long time. So we were going through a softer demographic patch, and now we're hitting this one, and this one is pretty darn solid, and they're willing and able to purchase, and they've been saving up for this moment, and they're hitting their 30s, and they're just got married, and they're starting to have babies, and they want to purchase homes. And that's what's going on here. So it's a stronger demographic patch than what we were dealing with prior. So you can see, pretty strong. All right, and then we've got this. So the number of mortgages in active forbearance is decreasing. So we saw the headlines. Headlines were close to 5 million people that were in forbearance, but that number has been dwindling down to 3.93 million. So that's still a lot of people that are in forbearance, but you have to understand 3.93 million. There's something that I've talked about before. That is a lot of people. These people are included in all the 30, 60, and 90-day lates. So these are the people that could potentially be short sales or foreclosures. However, some of these people are just bridging it to the other side when they go back to work. So that 3.93 amounts to, gosh, look at this. If you look at the number of people that are in forbearance that have equity in their homes, 77% have more than 20% equity. So that's something else that people don't talk about. They just bring up these numbers all the time, but they don't understand the underlying pieces to it, and there's a lot of equity that they can tap into. And with home values on the rise, contrary to the last recession that we had during the Great Recession where home values were going down, home values are on the rise, which is allowing some of these people that are that have less than 10% equity, that's 10% of everybody in forbearance have less than 10% equity. Some of these people are going to continue to appreciate where their equity is going to continue to rise. Although when they're in forbearance, they have to pay back those payments not necessarily as a balloon payment. It can go at the very end, and it's called a deferred payment, but they still have to pay it back. So that's really 10% of all the people in forbearance that are vulnerable. And if you're looking at that is you're looking at 3.93 million, so 393,000 are vulnerable, but with 10% less equity. Those are the people that can't tap into as much equity in order to sell if they had to sell. However, I'm here to tell you that not all 393,000 are going to end up as short sales and foreclosures. So if you can even say 50% of them, you're now looking at far fewer, less than 200,000 for all of the United States, and that's not a wave. That is nothing in comparison to what we had before. There's people that are trying to compare all of them. That's a lot of equity. I'm so sorry. That's a lot of equity for people to tap into where they will not be short sales or foreclosures. And then we have, speaking of foreclosures, we just kind of answered that bell. It's just not going to happen. It's just not going to be this wave. We will get some. It's not going to be that wave that everybody talks about. Nope, that's not what it is. It's going to be more of a wake wave. Wake wave? A lake wave. Try doing that twice. Pretty hilarious. And then another thing that people bring up, unemployment. So that's something else over and over that people brought up in unemployment. And there are people that are, there are a lot of people that are unemployed, and it's all different categories and ages and all that stuff. But you have to understand the biggest portion of unemployment are the people from 18 to 24, or 16 to 24. Those people are the ones that got cut from jobs, that were working at restaurants, that were working at movie theaters, that were working at amusement parks, that were working within malls, that were manning those retails, that they can't go back to work right now. They're all part of that unemployment. So that's a bigger portion of it. For those people that are college graduates, it's down only 2% from December, the number of employed. So you can see unemployment's not really that much of a factor for the people with degrees. And then the older you are, this is 25 to 54, down 8.8%. Then it's down 10.5%, that's for all. And then if you don't have a high school grad education, 25.8%. That's how much it's off from December. So you can see where it's coming from. It's really the people that are more renters. And speaking of renters, that's the other thing people will talk about, evictions. And I'm here to tell you that government will come together, and they will do something where they're going to bridge the gap between here and the rest of the year. They just haven't quite done that yet. And the presidential administration took care of it, kind of, but there's only really a few states that can really tap into it and get them online. Arizona is one of them. California is not. Our system is too antiquated and too big for it to change on a dime. So really we need them all to come together, the DC, and put together a package where everybody works together. It can't just be an executive order, because otherwise things have to be fixed. And there's some computer systems that are so antiquated that they can't even get to it until October, November at the earliest, which would be too late. So, but rent payment tracker. So I get this all the time, these rent payment things. I'm tired of the headlines of the number of people that have not paid their rent. And one of them being 13% of all people didn't pay their rent through the first 2 weeks of August, because they track this. But look at the same thing. Last year there were 11% of all people did not pay their rent within the first 2 weeks of August. And if you look at that, so we look at this on a monthly basis, year-over-year data, and this is a rent tracker that is out there. It's just an aggregate of looking at a whole bunch of rentals across the United States. So yes, this is down from here to here, and it's down by 2 points, which there are a lot of people that are affected by it that aren't paying, that could be evicted. But it's not necessarily that gigantic wave that people are talking about. A lot of the wave that they're talking about is actually surveys of whether or not they'll be able to pay. And when push comes to shove and they actually have to scrape together things and make things happen, there will be more people that will continue to pay. It's not going to be that gigantic wave just from a survey. So this is the rent payment tracker full month results. You can see this is year over year, July 2019 over July 2020. You're looking at 95.7 versus 96.6. So off a percentage point. It's not a gigantic, it's not even a full percentage point, but it's not gigantic. And there will be some sort of unemployment check that allows them, that will be passed eventually. I just don't know when, because it looks like Labor Day is when everybody comes back. So I hope that answers a lot of the questions that people have about a housing crisis. There's just way too many things that we're following that look really promising. I wish I had more time to go into it in further detail, but I want to get on to some other things that we need to talk about, and that's COVID. I just don't want to see a W-shaped recovery down the road. I'm pointing this out. LA is about to blow past New York City. I guess that's their county. New York City, New York. They're at 231,000 in New York, and LA's at 227,000. This was a big difference, and this is the smallest the difference has been. So over the next few days, you're going to hear about LA being the most impacted county in the United States. And they're also the biggest county in the United States. And they didn't do like New York, where they had to do it all at once. So their hospitals are so impacted that the death rate went way up. And so we'll watch that. And then the overall world, 21 million is where we were last week, and we're at 22.8 million today, and we were at 258,000 on average for the last 7 days. That was last week, and now we're at 253,000, so we've actually plateaued, come down a little bit. Looks a lot like where we were in April, where we plateaued and started coming down a little bit. We just don't want to see this continue to go up, so it's something that we will continue to monitor. And then coronavirus is starting to return to Europe. I don't know if anybody's been following this, because there's been a lot of other things on the news, but it's something to watch. Spain is actually having a real problem, and they're going backwards. Italy is not. France, a little bit of a problem. This is France, this is Italy. And then you've got Germany. Germany's coming up just slightly, not anything insurmountable. And the United Kingdom has been a slight incline. Really, Spain and France are having a bit of an issue in Europe. And a second wave of coronavirus infection in Korea and China, and even some elective, I can't remember who was talking about. There's a spike that they're having in Korea. Not really. This is their spike, 246 cases. And the same thing goes with what's another off of New Zealand. New Zealand, they're having a spike. They actually moved their election. That prime minister is going to get reelected, but the parliament was saying that they wanted her to move it, so she listened to them, and they went ahead and moved their election date. They only had like 20 cases. It had no spike whatsoever, but they were coming from zero, none in the country for a long time, and then all of a sudden 20 cases. So now they're dealing with that, and the same thing goes for this. This is South Korea, 246 cases, but nonetheless, they were traveling around zero and then hit a spike, and this all had to do with the church that wanted to do things their own way. And then this is China, 66 in all of China, but it's still nonetheless, they came from zero, and they're seeing some coronavirus cases. In the United States, 5.298 million, that's where we were a week ago. We're at 5.6 million now. We were averaging 52,000 for the last 7 days, and now down to 46,000. So this is starting to look better. It's going down in the right direction. Hopefully it continues to do so. And then you have COVID-19 cases. Where are we at right now? This is where we're at. We're at 6.6 positivity rate. We were at 5 point something last week. We were headed the right direction, but you can see this kind of seesaws. We're still not doing enough tests. 635 is not even close to where we need to be. We need to be at 1.5 million plus, and that's where we're going to go. And then you got this. This is California. So we need to get those COVID-19 positive tests below 5%. Por favor, please. But California cases, check this out. So this little dip right here was a broken server in California. And so that broken server kept everybody from unlocking our classrooms and going to phase 2, and then the head of the health for California actually she resigned. But California, this is where we're at right now. We're going the right direction. 603 was last week. We're at 653,000 this week. We were adding a lot more a month ago. 8,092 on average for 7 days is down to 7,775. So we're moving in the right direction. That's because we had to absorb these missing tests that were here. And now it's starting to come down. The further we go, it's really going to start to drop on average for the last 7 days. So when do we unlock? We're getting very, very close. LA, not so much. Orange County, San Diego, yes. San Bernardino, Riverside, they need to still do some improvement. But it looks like Orange County and San Diego could be opening back up very, very soon. I heard a rumor that Orange County would be tomorrow. If that happens, schools don't necessarily go open. They need 2 weeks of positive data, so it could be 2 weeks from tomorrow. My daughter is coming in. Is it real? Is it real?
You know, my teachers were telling
Yeah,
me.
the teachers were saying something. So it could really happen. We're very, very close. And I saw the numbers. The numbers actually look fine in San Diego and Orange County, so we're almost there. And let's just all wear masks, do social distancing, so we don't have to do this thing again. And I think this is a sad state of affairs. I'm not political at all. I'm just bringing this up to show you that 1/3 of Americans are unwilling to get a COVID-19 vaccine when we have one. Can you imagine? There's going to be a lot of people that are still not going to get a vaccine. So it just shows you there's a lot of PR work that needs to be done with the vaccine front in order to get everybody vaccinated so that everybody would feel pretty safe about going back to normal. Macroeconomic outlook, initial unemployment claims actually went up. We went below 1 million last week, and then this week above 1 million again. So, but as Logan pointed out, that's this chart. How about let's look at what the 4-week moving average is. And it's moving in the right direction for sure. So this is the right kind of a trend. You can see this trend is nice. We're getting below this 1.2 million. We're going to continue to go down. That's what we need to see to get this trend to go down to where it needs to be. This is ugly. This is a spike. This is really nice. This is what we're seeing. This is a positive looking graph where unemployment looks a lot better than what people are seeing out there. They're really scared about things, but this really does show some improvement. And then you have continuing claims for unemployment insurance down to 14.8 million, lowest reading so far since May. So you can see that. And then GDP, of course, we were negative for the second quarter. It was hideous. It was at 32.9% down, a decline. Now what they're predicting is all over the board from 15% low up to a 25% high. These are all the different economists as far as what quarter 3 is. So recession over, third quarter. And so that will be news, that will be positive, that will make people feel a little bit better that we're beyond a recession, what I refer to as a pandemic. Oh, you're leaving? My daughter's leaving. I will see you later. She's going to Nana's. It's her term. And then forbearance, as far as that's concerned, it dropped from 8.18% to 7.21%. So it's going down slowly, forbearance. It's 9 straight weeks of drops. And it's at 3.6 billion right now. So it's going in the right direction. Conference board leading economic indicators. That's this. This is a waterfall. This is improvement. That's that portion shown over here. We've never seen it come up this fast. See, normally it's a little slower, but this is such a sharp. They look like needles when they go up and they come down, or they go down and they go up and they look like needles. So you have to blow it up like this in order to see where things are at, and we're seeing improvement in the leading economic indicators front. And then we have purchase application index. It's up 27% year over year, 13 weeks straight of year over year gains. I think it's 11 weeks straight of double-digit gains. And then we have existing home sales. This just came out. This was a total, this is totally what we thought was going to happen, and I was talking about it for a very, very long time. And this is the national front, not just Southern California. You got this V-shaped recovery. It went way down like this, it went way up that quickly. So not normal, but that's because we had a forced shutdown. And if you draw a line all the way across, last time it was as low as 2006. I mean, this high, 2006. And you could argue that some of this was pent-up demand, but I'm here to tell you, I can show you, demand is continuing to be elevated, so we're going to continue to get really high cycle numbers that will beat a lot of people's expectations unless they're following it closely enough. Home builder confidence, highest since 1998. I have to bring that up. That's through the roof. And then we have housing starts, also looking very, very V-shaped, like another one of those Vs. And that's with confidence. You have this, retail sales return to pre-pandemic levels. That's also pretty darn strong. People are going, well, we're not buying this. We're not buying this. Yeah, but we're buying other things. So the mix of what people are buying and what they're doing has moved and shaped a little bit. Go try finding a dumbbell online right now. My wife's trying to get one. We want 15 pounds. Anybody got 15-pound weights? Just sit in your garage. Let me know. We want those. And try to find a brand new bicycle right now. Credit card debt dropped sharply as consumers cut back, so that too, credit card debt is going down a lot. And we need these people to get together and bridge the gap and stop playing the politic game. Instead, I'm pulling myself out of politics completely, but I'm here to tell you we need to do something in order to continue to bridge that gap, not argue about how much it is, just let's figure things out. So go to reportsonhousing.com, REPORTS on housing.com, and hit the subscribe button. You get a month free if you sign up using the coupon code 2HOT. I'm sorry this one went a lot longer. I had a lot to say, and that's because of all the housing crisis, the bubble boys, and everybody else that are out there, the perma bears. I was just having an issue, and I wanted to bring some of my points, salient points, to light right now. But you can sign up, and there's a sample report as well. And thank you, Kevin Buddy from Monarch Coast Financial. Absolutely appreciate your sponsorship. They deal with more than one kind of borrower, like everybody, and they have more than one kind of loan. Everything from full doc loans to private money loans, and everything in between. And he's got boatloads of experience. Has been doing this since 1976. A lot of buyers have been tapping into him. Agents have been utilizing him, and he's been a part of the board. And man, he's a funny guy, a fun guy, and a buddy of mine, Kevin Buddy. So call him at 949-422-2075. That's 949-422-2075. And that's it. That's all I have for you. So enjoy the weekend. I'm going to have a party for one of my sons that's turning 21, and the party's going to be our family. That's a big party enough, right? But hope you enjoy it. Hope you stay cool. I'm looking forward to cooler days. Have a fantastic weekend, and we'll see you on the other side.